Hi there everybody, Flash Rasman back again with Suzerain. Where did I leave it? Yeah, budget. Yeah, I remember why I didn't carry on recording this one, because this is my hard conversation. Okay, deep breath in we go. The preparations for the government budget were finished. Most of the cabinet gathered in the right room for the important decision. That, I want to keep, it's going to be a tough conversation. We've got to spend on the military, but I'm not sure everything else. Nearly half a year past its inauguration, the cabinet looked overworked. Now the moment for finally to discuss government budget. I'm quivering in my life with excitement, Mr. President. Sadly, Peter Vecht and Gus Manger won't be attending this meeting. They're working with the trade agreement with Magnolia. May the Lord be with them. Circa gave a barely disguised eye roll. Of course, they haven't, they don't get on, do they? Did you see all your eyes at me, young lady? If I did, it's because religion has no place at a government budget meeting. I merely expressed my wishes for a successful trade deal. Freedom of expression must be protected at all cost, must it not, Miss Morgner? Actually, in this case, I agree with Miss Wilder. Kara flashed her appreciative smile, so Morgner, Kara. According to Sordland's laws regarding separation of church and state, she broke off. She noticed that Simon, Lisa and Asa were looking at the three male ministers in stony silence. Ladies, let's leave the extraneous chit-chat for afternoon tea. Oh, that's condescending. That really is patronising, that is. Please leave religion at the palace gates. Yeah, well, let's stick it into Miss Graff. Lisa's about to utter a word, but a loud cough from Simon interrupted the silence in the room. Simon started loudly shuffling some documents, and all eyes turned to the Ministry of Economy. Nod at Simon. Today is a big day. We must prioritise our spending wisely in order to achieve the goals we set out as a government, while maintaining enough political support, if I may add, promises we made during the election. There are three options regarding the budget for the four main branches of government. It's either we increase, maintain or decrease the funding. Increase will result in an improvement of the branch, which will allow new policy options. Maintain will keep the funding, result in no visible change. Decrease causes loss of efficiency in that branch. The problem isn't that the amount of money we spend, how efficiently we spend it. Can we allow private sector supporters? I'm sure we can, to a certain extent. Some branches like education and health. Our universal healthcare system must be protected but are not tainted by the private greed or interest. We need to be considerate when making such grand choices that have ripple effects. We have to be careful as to what we fund, so we have resources for mainly for another investment project. We have to keep true to election promises. People vote because of promises we made. Okay. As much as realistically can, if we fail to improve our economy, the promises don't mean much in the big picture. Before we begin discussion, there's one thing I'd like to voice my opinion on. If we manage a government budget, we are obviously able to go into debt to invest in different branches. Although debt is a possibility under these circumstances, it would be dent our financial system, worsen the economic crisis if we push it too far. A point from me as well to everyone before discussion. Given the state of the economy, the economic situation and political priority right now are more or less so than ever. This budget will also be applicable to our entire term. It's very critical we plan it correctly. Let's begin then. Which branch should I discuss first? Healthcare. Healthcare system is vast, provides free services to most citizens. However, the quality of our healthcare system is far worse in local and rural areas. Therefore, I think we should receive more funding to address this disparity. I agree. I've recently begun an investigation into healthcare in Normal. Our numbers are not good. If we don't increase spending on healthcare services we at least need to maintain it. Otherwise, we're putting lives at risk. We have just started a new analysis of what happened if a pandemic struck Sordland. According to the results, if our healthcare systems remain in the current state, the death toll will be unmanageable. I'm not even talking about the damage to the economy. This is a matter of life and death, Mr. President, and it should be treated as such. That is indeed worrying. We should fix whatever we can with the government. We need to improve our healthcare. What else are we here for if we can't make our we can't keep our people alive. I've already got in my head, I think I know what more we're going to do. I think I already know what I'm going to do. Let's go with education. Education system is lacking not only in funding but also in modern curricular principles. Our outdated curriculum is wasting our youth. That is the reason why I advocated two things: an increase in the budget to improve access to education in rural areas, and a new education reform. To be honest, Sordland is lacking compared to our case in United Contana. When it comes to education levels, the backbone of any country is its people, and we need to protect the future. We need to ensure the new generation is as well educated as they counterparts in more modern countries. Nonsense. Sordland is still here because of the very system that you insult. How can you insult a system that teaches our sons and daughters the principles of national identity and pride? We won't be compared to other countries. Sordland is Sordland. That's the problem. I agree with Lee. Sordland is Sordland, and you have to be careful this bear. This is right. We will have our own path. We didn't get this far by imitating. I'll think about it. Law enforcement. I'd like to have increasing funding of law enforcement to increase the size of police force and raise salaries. We have so many internal threats to tackle. I'm already stretched my units too thin and limited resources allocated to me. Naya cleared her throat. Law enforcement is certainly high priority. However, I feel tackling internal corruption is far higher importance than increasing our police presence. Directly funding my department would solve the problem at its root. If corruption is still rampant, all the police in the world won't help us. We need a specialised anti-corruption police unit we could create if the funds directed to me. I agree with Miss Morgan. We should not reward a structure that is responsible for ever increasing number of human rights violations. Additionally, corruption is the reason of our government inefficiency. It needs to be tackled. The police are here to serve and protect the people of Sordland, so that's exactly what we're going to do. We're doing. More funding will have to take over our police forces. It's quite simple choice given the state of the country. I agree. Now we need some real solutions for real problems like corruption. Yeah, I do. Now nail them close to the flag. Time to hear the options in the military. What is it you want to hear? I've already voiced my opinion. I'd have run with this guy on my first run, and my second one I was like, don't like you. But now my third one, I'm warming to him. Well, one rig is coming whether we like it or not. If not this year or next year or the year after, basically they get coming. Yeah. If not this year, next year, or not the next year or the year after that. Mr. President, you and I shared the responsibility to protect this nation from its enemies, and I intend to do so with them until my last breath. Spoiler alert, in our second one, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened on the second one. I'll say this with certainty: if Rumbig does not make a move against Sordland in 2 to 3 years, my name is not ISEF. Oh, classic. ISEF was beginning to lose control of the volume of his voice. I can now about increasing the budget of our army. When there is an enemy on our doorstep waiting for us to make one wrong move, anyone else who thinks otherwise is a fool. Right, pardon my Mr. Lancia. Right, pardon my theatrics, this isn't serious, but this is a serious matter. The future of our country is up to you, Mr. President. Well, there is an argument. The armed forces does nothing but eat away financial resources, destined for our people, while stoking fears in an upcoming war. Unfortunately, I don't agree with you. When you've done 2 runs of this, it makes some of these conversations, because I've done 2 full runs. I know what's coming up. Therefore, I know in some cases it makes it hard to take these conversations from a neutral point of view, because I've been through this twice. Without giving away spoiler alerts, they're dangerous. Anyway, the issue of the Rumbig can be self-diplomatic. What kind of message are we sending to them? Or what if we start ramping up a military? I don't know. I think we've got no choice. We're ready to defend that we are ready to defend our nation, Miss Wilder. Exactly. One of the reasons our government was elected was because we promised we were going to focus on military during our campaign, which is what we're going to do. People elected for a reason. Yep. Very good. Very good talking points from everyone. Well then, the time to make a decision budget. The time to make a decision on the budget has come. Consider it with care, Mr. President. Someone placed a stack of papers on my table. Right. Health. Maintain health. Maintain education. hang on. Law enforcement. Let's just go. If I go next, military increase. Selecting one of the options. Well, yeah, but where am I directing it though? Military increase. Yep. I finished allocating the gun budgets to sacrifice some cabinet missing to dismay others. They and I knew this to define a significant part of our team. We are in a deficit on hands. We'll need to resort to debt finance future investments. This situation will have adverse effects if we don't strike a balance. Agreed. Well then, let's start with law enforcement. Thank you for the decision, Mr. President. I knew you'd see the reason. Considering our internal security threats are at an all-time high, I still give you this graph on how the money ought to be spent, but increased funding is certainly a step in the right direction. Law enforcement is a key branch in this greater budget due to the increased threats to our security. Minister of Interior and Justice. Hang on, your Minister of Justice and your Minister of Interior. No, that should be all. Let's just keep it neutral. Very well. Let's hit the Minister of Education. Keeping the budget the same will result in the same problems. However, I prefer over a decrease. I'll try and reform the system from within my own resources. Our future depends on our children. Education is the first step in the fight against ignorance. Your expertise and passion should enable you to make necessary changes, improvement. Thank you for your confidence in me. Without extra funding, we'll have to make sacrifices. Our system will see the consequences. No, because I'm going to privatise it, dear, so don't worry about that. Military is next. Clearly wasn't finished, but didn't interject. I have chimed in. It's an honour to serve with the President that respects the military. Trust me, with these funds, our armed forces will be better than ever before. You've kept your promise to focus on the military, an honourable and fitting decision. Lucian seemed as if he was about to say something, but looked down at his notepad when I lied him. Military is on top of my priorities and always will be, rest assured. Let's go that one. Let's keep him on side. New York account you make on your decision making, Mr. President. Lean back in his chair. Let's hear from Bennywell. I can't say that maintaining the funding is negative, but I don't think our service will perform any better. Welfare must remain a priority in that term. There's no other way around it. It is best to continue it is best we continue our funding as it is. You will have to find new resources. The Ministry of Health will resort to a privatisation effort to create funds to improve services. That covers all branches. Each ministry will approach you with their respective policy requests and expectations over the next year. Thank you for your time and participation in this significant moment. The meeting is concluded. Regardless of what happened, I couldn't be without you. Don't forget that we are a team. Dismissed. Get out. This is bid FL. Some excited as others dejectedly. The cabinet slowly dispersed out the White Room. The budget for our term was concluded. Okay. So I'm just swapping drinks around. I was having a cup of tea. I do like my tea. Right, let's have a quick look at so I've got 87 signatures, efforts to increase this. Okay, that's progressing. Anything else to look at before we go into the next one? News. A month at 18 hours of negotiations, the government budget has been finalised. Okay. Yep. Okay, fine. We know about that. Let's hit continue. Proceed to the next turn. A new chapter 2. A new Sordland. Let's hope so. Okay. Alrighty, let's have a look at. Let's go on. Benfey Airport overcrowded. If receiving reports about the capacity of Benfey Regional Airport, the Mayor of Benfey is preparing to put forward a request for investment into an international airport. Okay, so basically what a new airport to increase tourism in the area. That's fair enough. Excuse me. Considering they're on the border of Lesbia, and Lesbia is quite rich, you'd think that would be quite a nice tourist destination. Anyway. Because, hang on, what's up here now then? Agnolia offshore drilling near Hedge Island increased tensions. Started a new drilling operation very close to the disputed territory of Helge Island. The tension increased when the situation turned into a standoff between Vaxlandian and Agnolian warships. It took several hours of gridlock to be resolved, and the situation escalated for now. They are not a small nation. If we have a quick look at that and just have a look at Focus Agnolia, they've got a weak military. You know, they've got a weak military and freedom or peril. Yeah, really. Up against Vaxland, who have got a strong military. Through broken shackles, they have got to be careful. Population 63 million against a population of 11 million. That's just they've got to be careful. Look at this, Lazar. Look at Lumberg. 121 million overwhelming military strength. I mean, what's that population? I don't know. We'll look at that later. Hang on. What about down here? Wellen is 17 million. There's 79 million. Sordland. How do we find our population? Hang on. City information. 5.2 million there. We've got 2.7 million. 1.3 million for country review. Codex. Cities, countries. It doesn't tell us our own cities. Let's have a home. Let's have a look at. Country overview. It doesn't tell us the size of our population. I've never considered that before. But anyway, get bogged down in doing that. Basically, got outdated military equipment, which is worrying considering we've got an overwhelming military country on our northern borders. Extensive government debt. Fine, we know about that. Just need to be careful. Massive network of BFF priests discovered. BFF basically have included 100,000 possible newest worshippers, including none. Okay, that's just more trouble with the minorities. Education in rural areas is crap, we know that. News. Blackhaven League of Women March. Okay, that's again that's old guard against women wanting equal rights. Vaxlanian Navy forces Agnolian drill ship to retreat from Helgeland. The Navy Chief Admiral Kurt Hex of Agnolian drilling ship was driven away from Vagland's exclusive economic zone in the Nermanlander Sea recently. Said to such activities will be dealt with swiftly. In 1950, there's been a permanent presence of Agnolian Navy in the Marquian Sea. Homeland piracy. Ooh, that's not going well. Arcasia files MC for ICBM. Basically fired it towards Agnolia, towards United Cantana, before crashing down close to the abandoned radioactive Rostov Island. Okay. This indicates Arcasia wants to send a message to United Cantana Back the island's base in the middle of the Oceania world, displaying to advanced. Will occasionally catch up to United got on face go and contention between the superpowers. Oh dear. That's not good. Right. Workers' Rights Act. Sign, yep, I'm signing that. Government budget's gone down to -2. New law on workers' rights. Yep, fine. Rayne signs workers' rights bill into law. Of course they're going to complain. It was their accident killed 112 people. Signed. Backhanded compliment as ever. Budget's gone to -2, which is a bit of a concern, but there's not a lot I can do about it at this moment. Which one now? Gus and Sam were preparing an extensive regional investment package to revitalise one of the economic fragile regions by boosting municipality budgets, finding large sums of business grants and giving cheap loans to companies with liquidity problems. But the project can be implemented in one of the following regions: Bergia, Lower Agneland, and a -1 budget. Let's give it Agneland because, I don't know. Do I want to do regional investment? No, I'm not going to invest. We can't afford it. I want to try, because last time I got down to like -10. I want to try and keep this somehow intact somehow. Evening walk with Monica. It was early evening, still light out when I faint nip in the air. Frank was at his friends and Deanna was at art class. Monica decided to go out for a walk before dinner. Our favourite place to store was a nearby Capital Park, the largest green space in all of Hull. Before the children were born, we'd spend many an evening engaged in deep conversation along the riverside promenade. Another favoured path wound through the woods behind the presidential housing complex to a private pond where the children could swim in the summer. I was told that Sol himself had built it the benefits of being president. Monica met me by the door. We put on our coats and hats. I was going to suggest we walk towards Sol Square, but the guards told me it's closed for yet another protest. I wonder who they are protesting this time. What does it matter? They're two sides of the same coin. Common thugs, I'll make sure that. No, that's just two sides. Does it matter? Two sides of the same coin. The Anton and University would never have said that. Some outcoming president changes one's perspective. In any case, where should we go? I'm not sure Capital Park is a wise idea in this climate either. Nonsense, we have got guards and nothing to be afraid of. Let's go to Capital Park. If you say so, let's go then before the children get home. And from the guards, about our route, we left the house. The guards followed behind us with a black Cadillac as we exited the gates. Walking briskly, we reached Capital Park in minutes. As we entered the park, Monica broke the silence. So, how was your day? Usual nightmare. I don't know. I imagine some might find that stimulating. How was your day? Oh, it was fine. Caught up on some reading while the children were at school. As we reached River, I saw Ionas Krona, the former Minister of Justice, walking off the direction. I remembered Niall Morgan used to be his Vice Minister. He gave us a quick nod and an acknowledgement. Ionas had fought hard and strongly against Sol's judiciary reforms, but after years of government blocking his every move, he gave up on his ideas and became a part of the administration. What did our ideals really mean if they could be changed so easily? What about the people we idolise? Evelyn came around for tea. She says hi. She's feeling rather low. Apparently she and Peter had a bit of a disagreement. Peter's investigating what happened this time. Apparently Peter took too much risk as usual and didn't behave when Evelyn's father was over for dinner yesterday. You know, Peter, what do you think of this? That's Peter. Pickle, I'll have to talk with him. Good, Evelyn seemed close to tears. Being married is like a shoe like that's all. I'm not saying that. Yeah. Didn't say anything. Oh, ominous silence there. Evelyn hasn't been the same since what happened to her at the Holsworth post last year. You remember? She got fired for supporting Alfonso. Peter tried everything to get a job back, but it didn't work. Sad day, yeah. I completely agree, sad day indeed. But enough of the vectors. I spoke with Janice on the phone. Oh, Janice, right. You remember our friend for university? We were in soldiers literature class together. A few years younger than me, red hair, scar on her forehead. We had dinner with her and husband once or twice. Neither name nor description rang a bell. I still remember, but go on. Anyway, she's been working executive assistant at the Violet Pictures film studio. She just became pregnant and asked her boss for a paid maternity leave, and guess what? She was fired for it. Her husband fired for both of them while she raised the children. Looking from a cost standpoint, obviously they don't want to lose money. Asking for maternity, that's terrible. I know, I was beside myself, she told me, and that's not all. They immediately faced with a young, less experienced man, the son of the executive, no less. They must have wanted him there all along, yeah. That doesn't justify what they did to her. As it happens, another friend works for a television station that's our secretary, so they're connected to the two of them. Terrific problem solved then, really, Anton, after everything we've talked about. Ooh. In this country are still seen as wives and mothers first, human beings second. They're asked at work, underpaid, blocked from positions of power, and those are the lucky ones. The fact that there are still places in this country where little girls like Diana are denied right to an education. And I'll do everything I can to change that. Yep. According for you, these little girls and people like Janice need someone to speak on the behalf of a role model, a successful woman. We were right in front of one of the park benches that lined the river. Monica gestured at it and we sat down. It brings me to my point. I know that Mayor of Enrique Curtin-Less will be delivering our speech at the annual opening of the Benfey Festival. I wish to take his place and deliver his speech instead. Less one of the Sordland's most influential politicians. He started his career in Benfey, but for rise to power in Enrique. Benfey's current mayor personally invited him to make the opening speech. Basically, Monica would likely anger him, not enough to cause a major incident, but enough that he might not support me in the assembly. I want the basic speech on women's rights in Sordland, on the oppression and discrimination we face every day on the basis of our sex alone. I want our voice heard. This festival is a time to do it. I just need your blessing as my husband, the President of Sordland. Oh God. Monica's eyes were blazing with fire. I hadn't seen since we were students. She wanted this badly. I had to be careful with my promises. You have my full support. So in past 2 months I've let her do this, and I don't think it ended well. Does it have to be the festival? It has to be now. Thousands of it go to the festival. Millions watch the speeches at home. Sordland can't wait any longer. Absolutely not out of the question. Don't understand this, and it's something you care about as well. It's not the right time. Sordland's facing too much political fire if we have to deal with the rights later. I can't make Curtin-Less angry. What little trouble this causing in short is nothing compared to the lasting positive change it will bring, not just for women but for all people of Sordland. Alright, if it means so much to you, I don't think so. Monica was silent for a while. After she finally spoke, there was a chill in her voice. If it's true how you feel, so be it. Ooh. We walked back home. Neither of us were looking at each other. Oh dear, that didn't go down well. Oh dear indeed. Oh well. Limited room is right. Okay, that's about the workers' law order. Nationwide peaceful protests. Fine. I'm happy with peaceful protests. Lockhaven Times explosion in dire kills, 322 wounded. Militants again. Again, it's just to highlight the issues in the country. Up here, geopolitics. Smollett condemns Arcasian soldiers in Lesbia. Criticized lesbian group bringing Arcasian soldiers close to the border of well, and last month, Prime Minister Alvarez and President Walker agreed on the construction of several military bases in Lesbia that will station NATO soldiers. With the arrival of the first Arcasian soldier in Lesbia this week, well, and the stance has become increasingly hostile. Ooh. Okay, so basically we've got Arcasian soldiers. Yeah. Yeah, at some point we're gonna have to decide whether we're going to end up siding with Vagsland or siding with Lesbia. We can't sit in the middle of it because Not with Lundberg. We cannot sit in the middle and do nothing with Lundberg sat on the northern border. Because believe me, that will not end well. BFP have bombed the police station. That's the news article we just read. Let's have a look. Right, now what? Journalist report. The general staff convened at Camp Strong on a session much shorter than usual concluded the positive analysis of Sordland's field capabilities. The Chief of the Armed Forces, Vagland Kruger, made a public press statement praising the administration in its efforts to strengthen the most important branch of the government, the military. Excellent, the army like us, that's marvellous. Right. Budget allocation for law enforcement. I was in my office reading reports from ministers about the current situation of the protests. My next scheduled meeting was about law enforcement between budget with Naya and Lilia. So I heard knocks on the door. Naya entered and took a seat from front of my desk. Lilia was absent. Good afternoon, Mr. President. This will be late. Apparently there's an urgent matter on the Minister of Interior she had to attend to. She shouldn't take long. What urgent matter? She's something about supply distribution for the police forces, nothing major. I've turned to my reports and Lily smoothed the back of an errant strand of her hair. There was an awkward silence. Oh, wait, why don't we have a little chat? This might come off as a little strange, but I'm proud of you. It's about everything you're actually trying to reform the country. I know I am. It's we near, not me. I couldn't do any of this by myself, so now I'm proud of you. Yeah. Well, thank you. You certainly have a way with words, don't you? Words are words, action is what's important. Are you sure? And you seem to be doing well at both so far. Pros are cancelling out the cons for sure. You lean forward. How are you really holding up, Anton, being president, I mean? It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but it's also the best thing I've done in my life. I can imagine so much responsibility, so much power at the same time. I want to assist you and the country as best I can, and to do that I have an idea. We must eliminate the worst problem we have, corruption. How do we do that? It's high time that Elgon and Supreme Court stop holding the country in the palm of their hands. That's why I want to form a new unit, the anti-corruption police. That is my idea. So what if the anti-corruption police get corrupted? What then? I'm still figuring out the details myself, but of course there will be safety mechanisms in place. Also, one more thing about Lilias. I wouldn't trust if I were. She barely finished her sentence when we heard a knock on the door. Now, also almost jumped out of the chair. Lilias Graff entered the room. She's a Sordland party. She was a staff sergeant in the Women's Army Corps. She served as a mayor in Arvery, 40-47. Political career. She was elected mayor in Arvery in 1940. She's a Tarquin Scissor Solace, she is. Old guard. Mr. President Naya, I hope I wasn't interrupting your conversation. No, not at all. We're discussing a few things. Lily smiled at Lily. I'm sorry for being late. It's an important matter for that ministry. Just a more dispute than who should get supplies. Nothing major. Lilias took her seat next to Lilias took her seat next to Nia as she concluded talking. Well then, let's go straight in. We will provide a brief update of the situation on law enforcement. Nod. Naya. The Minister of Justice and Supreme Court is working in close collaboration with the Minister of Interior to address the protests in the country. I must add that thanks to the hard work of our judiciary, the law enforcement forces assigned to my minister are doing their jobs efficiently. I'd call it the success of our forces on the ground, not due to the judicial branch of our government. Lila shot her brief withering glance. They do not like each other. As expected, the budget increase has boosted morale of the employees in law enforcement agencies. In these dire times, my people and Naya's people are especially delighted. This came as a pleasant surprise to many in the Minister of Interior. This was not even one of our campaign promises. And for that, all I say is bravo, this is an excellent decision. Agreed, the Ministry of Justice were very happy with the decision as well. The backlog of our court cases are dwindling and we have started to fulfil the needs of the current situation. Certainly a step in the right direction. Did what was expected of me. Of course it was the right decision. I made it after all. Yeah, go on, let's do a bit of that. Niall cast a sidelong glance at Lilias, of course. Well then, let's move on to what we're actually here for. Due to budget increase, we can start doing much more with the main branch of security in Sordland. However, this has to be met at budget balance between the Minister of Interior and the Minister of Justice. Exactly, when deciding, you must look at the bigger picture. I will believe you in the right choice, said the Minister of Interior. What if I tried to balance the budget in between the Minister? Yes, what if I split? Balance the budget won't have as much. A current situation clearly demands a decisive choice to benefit the nation. Okay, I agree. We need to focus on one minister to achieve tangible results. Of course, that will make the most sensible. That will make the most sense of the current situation. We would support the neglect of the Minister of Justice that would improve the legal systems in Scotland. Tell me now, who brings the criminals before the justices? Let me answer. The police force is connected to the Minister of Interior. Why should I pick the Minister of Interior? The Minister of Interior is much more important, much more significant, important government agency that is in need of funds, especially during these times. There are many protests in the country. Good luck prosecuting criminals or going through local government laws without justices, Lily asked. Why should I pick Minister of Justice? Each day that stacks of legal cases are piling up for judges. Cases for corruption and criminals are delayed to a lack of funds. It seems to be an organisational issue, not funding. When the Interior needs the money more for police and local governments. Make my decision. See, again, having played this twice, my judgments are slightly tainted. But even so, I do not trust her at all. And she's on our side in terms of doing the constitutional reforms. So what will it be? Yep, we'll go to the funds will go to Minister of Justice, reduce court backlog and improve the justice system. Bad decision making, right choice. It's time the Minister of Justice got the funds it needed. Brief moment for deliberation passed. Lilias got up from her seat. I must return to the Minister of Justice, the Minister to implement necessary changes. Very well. See you soon, Lilias. Now I need to have a few words with the Mr. President. Lilias left the room. Here's my proposal. Corruption has always been a major issue with any government. It is the root of all evil. That's why I'm proposing the formation of the Anti-Corruption Police Force. As a sub-branch of the Ministry of Justice, the ACP will be given full authority by the President to investigate corrupt government officials and citizens. This would especially come in handy when dealing with the corruption in high positions. The Supreme Court and oligarchs that meddle in politics are just a few examples. If you accept this will give our administration the ability to deal with corruption quickly and decisively. Form it, let's do it. Let's have a secret police. Exactly, excellent. I shall start the prep work. You're making good decision after good decision today, Mr. President. I will be in touch. You got up and left the room. Okay, as easy as I thought it were going to be. Okay, that's good. Protesters target sacred symbols. Sacred symbols of Dastry unity, including St. Dast himself, have been target of vandalism as protests continue across Sordland. What initially began as a protest against the murder of Bernard Circus in January, it's turned to rioters forcibly tearing down the monuments of former sordid politicians, saints and other figures. Okay. Rioters. Head of Sordland's main opposition party, the People's Freedom and Justice Party, the PFJP, Friends Rector, said President Rayne needs to address the issues like term limits. So it's about the Constitution. Recession is slowed down last month, so signs of recovery, but make no mistake, Sordland is in great danger. Several weeks have brought lots of mixed news in Sordland, but good news come particularly from several regions hitting pre-recession output numbers. Thousands of people return to work, so businesses are getting out spending more. Manufacturers cranked up assembly lines, and many businesses welcome back customers. Okay. Briefing on the The L1 construction created a perfect opportunity to visit the green technological nerve centre of Sordland. Dozens of electrical engineers from the city were part of the electrification upgrade of the rail track. That was a mouthful, blimey. The main purpose of our visit was to solve the construction issues that began to endanger the deadline. The Galesfield Resource Council let us use our facilities. The rectors weren't interested in our affairs. Simon looked at me with more stress than usual, and Gus was also here to find solutions. He eyed me for a while. Tourist Holding has reached out for us and requested more funds. This happened on my first run. I chose to do the motorway. From Lockhaven into Ragnaland. I chose Tourist Holding, and exactly the same thing happened again. I wonder if that's kind of keyed in, so you got a good, medium, and bad choice. I wonder if this sound I'm almost disappointed in it. It takes the randomness out of it a little bit, but it just sounds like this is a bad choice to make. Whatever you do. Requested more funds. As per report they have sent, to finish the rail line, they've realised more capital is necessary due to new labour laws. That's typical. We scheduled construction to finish sooner, but Tourist Holding might miss the target with the current trajectory. It's unfortunate, but construction can be disrupted when costs change dramatically. Unusual, something was wrong when they offered the contract for cheap. Underlaw wouldn't have had this problem due to their wealth of experience. Thanks for that. If this caused a delay, it would cause us to lose face with the public. Sinking more money to tourists isn't ideal either. I do not permit incompetence. I do not permit incompetence. Rather than incompetence, according to their report, they increase drastically due to the new bill increasing worker costs. They should have seen this coming. If they didn't, which is the case, that's incompetency. One gives for certain administration must avoid working with tourists in the future and not for safe choices like Underhaul. Unfortunately, I don't agree with you. Yeah, I should have. I'm a bit frustrated by this because this happened in the last one. It's almost as if you pick tourists, it's going to go wrong. It's not going to work. I think it's almost as if that's pre-built into the game. That sounds like anyway. Tourist sounds a better option indeed. There are people I know in the management of Underhaul. They will be available for a second project in the future. The question is, well, are we going to give tourists the funding they requested? What is your decision? We don't have the funds to spare. Cause delay. This will likely cause a delay, but 12,000 will be formed immediately. This is what happens if we miss it. As people lose faith in our capabilities. Regardless of the decision is made. Well then, thanks for coming. That is all on this matter. That's a blow. But yeah, again, don't pick tourists. It's kind of like, I'm disappointed in that because it's the same thing, exactly the same thing happened in my first run. My second run, I chose the train run and I chose to use Underhaul and it went fine, but it cost more. Oh, this is the next difficult conversation. We were at the top floor of the Business Council building, which had great views of Lockhaven. I looked outside from the tall glass windows. The markings stretched as far as the eye could see. It was dotted with many ships towards the horizon. There were mostly cargo ships carrying precious goods in and out of Sordland. Tracing back the path of the ships, I looked at the harbour. Lockhaven was home one of the biggest harbours in the entire continent. Many dock workers were loading or unloading containers. Work never stopped here. Door opened. Simon Michaelidis entered the room. Mr. President, nice to see you again. Good afternoon. Take a seat. Let's crack on. Simon put down his bag on the table and started collecting his documents. The others slowly took their seats. Mr. President, before we start, I'd like to mention some rumours that I have heard. The Workers' Rights Act did not sit well with many business holders because it costs them more to actually look after people. Of course they don't like it. Especially the first section about minimum wages. I heard the same. This has caused many businesses to lose millions of rent overnight. Unfortunate, sir, especially during a recession. This is unfortunate that the bill was enacted this late. I don't care about the rumours. If he wants to say something, they can say it to me directly. I don't care about rumours. He wants to say it, yeah. Neither of them responded. Seeming wasted patiently, everyone was ready. He adjusted his glasses. They're going to hate what I'm going to do next then. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone here for their work on their tax system reform. We all know that complicated court system is, and the work couldn't be possible without you. Turn to me. To what goal is end the recession? Before we move ahead and start formatting our plan, we need to determine our direction, Mr. President. We have a few possibilities for the work we have done so far. We're going to increase, maintain or decrease taxes for large corporations. Will you some in this room have a few strong opinions about this? In parallel, we can increase, maintain or decrease taxes for small and medium businesses. Let's start with large corporations. We'll move to small businesses. Again, I already know in my mind what I'm going to do, I think, because again, I've done this twice. I've done the same decision twice. What's the outcome if we increase taxes for large corporations? Simply put, if we increase taxes, we'll have more government to spend, which comes in handy. On the other hand, it's not directly helping us revitalise the economy. Our government is already in debt. This might be a way to get us out of that debt. I believe there is one way to get out of this recession. It's through trade and economic contributions of large corporations. Increasing their taxes will turn them on. Increasing the taxes will turn them on you. Yeah. I'll go one step further. Increase their taxes will have disastrous results. It will make them an enemy of them. Trust me, Mr. President, nobody wants to make an enemy of them. It goes both ways, Mr. Avon. It does. It certainly does. What happens if we could decrease the... it's not actually... At this point, our state is broke. We're barely functioning with the help of the taxes. We could balance by increasing the tax on small businesses. I'm not sure that's a good idea with the current state of our economy. I think it's a great idea. Me too. This would help them on your good side of solving the recession crisis, Mr. President. They better try to stay on my good side. Yeah, exactly. Is there a downside to keep things as they are? I'm of the opinion that if we don't make changes, nothing will change. To stop the recession, we need to do something. I think so too. Agreed. What does anybody think we should do? I don't think we can do anything at this point, although I would prefer decreasing taxes. It doesn't seem possible. And national trade is mostly byproducts of these corporations. They're the backbone of our economy. So an increase will be out of the question. These are companies the backbone of the economy and they're way out of recession. I made my decision. Very well. We'll decrease the tax for large corporations and balance the budget with an increase of smaller taxes. We maintain tax for large corporations. It does nothing. I'm hitting them. Previously, I've done that, but this time I'm going to do this. I want to see what happens. You're making a mistake. This is going to an outrageous effect down the road. Enough. The president's made his choice. Don't forget, these are business people, so of course they're not going to like it. Well then, I've taken note of action. I'll put it implementation as soon as possible. Simeon opened his briefcase, swapped out the stack of papers he had in front of him with another stack. Let's move to small and medium businesses. What's the outcome if we increase taxes for small and medium businesses? They are backbone of our economy. They're compromised on They are comprised mostly regular people. If we start demanding more money from them in taxes, it might cause public harbour ill will towards government. On the other hand, we need to get out there. One way or another, this can be a solution for sure. You're just basically saying everything. He just kind of gives you both opinions. I think increasing taxes for smaller corporations is a good way to earn some extra capital so that government can give back to people in due time. In the long run, increasing taxes for small and medium business would make people happier with the services the government provides. That's because you're from big corporations. That's why you're saying that. This pair, I don't trust these. The views. I don't take the views of this pair seriously. People need their hard-earned money. What happens if we decrease taxes? It will be helpful in curbing recession for sure. Of course, this will come at a cost of losing some of our government budget. It's risky when we have no money left. We have loans to pay. Is there a downside to keep things as they are? Sordland needs change to get out of recession, but the current state economy is a shambles. There's not much change there's not much change we can do about taxes. I need to make my decision. Very well. Let's put tax up for everybody. Very well. I'm taking another note. We'll look into how to go about implementing these changes. Well then, I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to do that. I'm annoyed myself. What I've kind of wish I'd not done that. I was going to leave them as they are. Enjoy Lockhaven. Yeah, don't think I did the right thing there. They left the my decided to stay a bit longer. I went by the windows again and kept watching the sea in silence for some more time. Okay, let's look at the news articles first of all. That's the Benfey Festival. We now got positive government budget. Tax increases in the end. In order to end the recession, the administrator announced new changes to tax system. Ministry of Economy has changes include council tax increase of 10%, bringing the total 45% for small and medium corporations. Young Source denies allegations. Right, Young Source, they didn't know you're there basically. So it's not a terrorist organisation. Will not bow down to fake accusations. Okay. Well, protesters are not traitors. Traitors are not traitors or anti-nationalists. Okay. The National School Rankings announced the results from 1955 school metrics. Surprisingly, in this category, primary, secondary to tourist school has passed all of the highest average results performance. Principal. Yeah, nothing in there. Okay. Red Youth calls for peace. Expect the public demand opportunities to political violence to take place across Sordland. Yeah, you kind of get the impression there's a minority on either side. You get the impression they both want peace. They both want to kind of stop attacking each other, stop the violence. As again, radical are always going to attack us. Economist. Large corporation tax increases are uncalled for. They're not going to like it. Base have upset everybody. Yeah, really. Threatens new military incursions targeting BFF. Oh god, we've got this coming as well. So basically, this lunatic, it's threatened to launch military actions in operations in Welland, close to the border of Lesbia, against bloodish rebel group BFF. An intelligent interview to Corey support for next month's referendum. Only to extend his presidential powers. That's the key there. Preparing new internal threats. Okay. Regional foot militaries can possibly further exacerbating already tense relations with their neighbours amongst, particularly Sword due to the large number of bloodish militaries living close to the border. Okay, let's have a quick scan down here. That's the Benfey Festival. Is that the Benfey Festival? Oh, we're not going to do that, right? I think I'm going to leave that here because, again, I know what's coming. That's another difficult conversation. So basically, we solved the government budget by taxing everybody, which I was always going to. I'd admit, in previous runs, I've always gone decrease tax for large corporations and increase tax for small businesses, and it's not done anything. It's not helped. So this time I was going to increase corporation tax, but not. But I was either going to maintain or lower small business tax, but then now I'm going to go the opposite way. But in this part, in my two previous runs, I've never got that far with a positive budget this far into the game. What do they want? She's having a laugh. Queen Beatrice Livingston calls Sordland a threat to world peace. Queen Beatrice Livingston appeared on TV to call Sordland not just a threat to peace in Eastern Macopa, but a threat to peace in the entire world. She condemned the riots and police violence in Sordland, also expressed the worries of the direction Sordland is headed. She urged the Rumburgian army to secure the southern border, citing violent incidents. But the violence is caused by you supplying them with weapons, you stupid woman. Oh dear. That's basically, that gives you an indication what's up their flag. Yeah. That's to give you an indication of what's going on north of our border. Hence why we need to spend the military. But anyway, I digress. I've never been there. I've never been, in terms of budget, I've never been in a positive figure at this point in the game, because normally I've just gone like spend, give everybody what they want. But this time I want to try and keep everything in check, because I'm hoping, because we've got options to privatise health, privatise education. Hopefully we can go. We might even, I can't remember. Hopefully, I'm sure we're going to have another meeting with the corporations at some point as well. You know, but I've favoured the corporations the last 2 runs, and it hasn't really helped me. Obviously, all the situations haven't either, but I want to try it a bit different anyway. I've been going, I'll leave it there. That's coming next. Again, that's going to be another scripted, always happens conversation. But I'll leave that with us. I hope you've enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See how to turn out loud, and I shall see you like the next one. Alright, thanks, bye.